What's your name?
Nathan D'Amigo.
All right. Well, you're sort of famous now.
Apparently.
How does it feel to be the one who took out Moldylocks?
The internet meme. It's been I've been very thankful to the alternative media for really exposing what the mainstream wasn't, what the legacy media hadn't, where they just simply edited a clip and not shown the rest of what had happened. That unfortunately that woman is part of Antifa, which is a violent international terrorist organization, left-wing terrorist organization, and so they were not showing that. They were not showing that her Facebook statement saying that she was going to come to scalp 100 Nazis and stuff like that. They didn't show that. They didn't show the fact that she was swinging around a bottle at people. And I can't thank the alternative media enough for just covering it and exposing the corporate media's lies about all this. And I've just been really humbled that a lot of people have had my support and come up to me today and just said thank you for fighting for our ability to come here and speak.
So for the matter of record, the punch that you threw was one of self-defense or initiation?
It was in not only the defense of myself, but in the defense of people in the general area. Yes.
Some folks have said that you are one of the, quote, Nazis that she was hunting. How do you respond to that?
Words like Nazi, racist, supremacist, these things are all really just, they're words that are used to shut down conversation. And many times I see it as nothing more than anti-white hate speech. And so, I am an identitarian. I've been very open about it. Obviously, I'm not the big boogeyman that everybody thinks I am. And yes, I do think we need to have a conversation about race and identity in this country. But we need to have a conversation, not go around, starting violent fights with people we don't agree with. And so I'm just here to support, the right in general of free speech, which is the ability to have public dialogue and conversation so we can reach better conclusions as a society.
Do you think that the tyranny of political correctness and self-censorship is leading to radicalization on even the right and people who are identitarians and want to have a more robust conversation?
I think that in a way it has. What we're seeing right now with Antifa, this has actually been going on a very long time. There are many people who would consider themselves populists, civic nationalists, kind of part of the alt-right, who don't want to. They're not interested in race, and they're just becoming aware of this left-wing censorship. But this has actually been happening for, unfortunately, a very long time. Even here at Berkeley, back in the 50s and 60s, Students for Democratic Society were actually chasing around professors who were talking about race and identity and intelligence and things of that nature and trying to approach it from a scientific basis. And the Students for Democratic Society were chasing many of these people the same way they've done with Milo, the same way they've done with Ann Coulter here. They were using violent threats. They were coming into his classroom. Arthur Jensen taught here at Berkeley 50 years ago, and they had to move his classroom around every week to try to avoid these people who were using violence to intimidate him. So we've known that this has been going on for a very long time, and we feel that if you aren't able to talk about the things you want to talk about, which we don't feel are even that radical, then we certainly aren't going to be able to have a voice.
We've transitioned from a war of ideas to a war of fists. Do you think that this is a civil war, especially among the millennial generation?
I think what we're seeing in a way is, paradigms have histories. They don't really just emerge out of nowhere. And I think we're kind of seeing the fruition of half a century worth of left-wing censorship. And I think that the alternative media is shaking things up. And these people, the left, they're losing control of their narrative, and they're freaking out, and they don't know what else to do. And so in a last-ditch effort, they're trying to use violence to silence people. And so I think that that's what's happening. And I think in a way we are kind of in this civil war, not in the sense of, the last civil war we had, but in a way it kind of is. There is a struggle of ideas going on. There's a demographic struggle going on, and this is something that was predictable due to the censorship that's been going on the last 50 years.
What do you say to the people who say, you know, you're pointing to science and race and demographic changes and label you racist for it? How do you respond to that?
Again, I see that nothing more as just an anti-white pejorative. It's a non-argument. They don't have an argument, so they're trying to use name-calling in order to, publicly shame me for pointing out facts.
There are a lot of white folks behind the black mask of Antifa. What do you say to them who subscribe to this culture of ethnomasochism?
I think the first thing is calling it by its name. I'm actually pretty shocked that you use that word, but this language is getting out there, and that's how you fight a narrative, is with language of your own. And ethnomasochism is something that should be talked about, is a concept that should be talked about in classes on race and identity. I'm a college student right now. I took every class I could on race and identity. I'd never heard that word mentioned. All the literature that opposes much of what's being taught in the classroom with these anti-white conspiracy theories like white privilege and stuff, they are not presenting the great counter arguments to their narrative. And that's how this censorship works, is it's basically a censorship of omission. So I don't think that's healthy for anyone to practice ethnomasochism. That's not something that's unique to white people. I've seen it happen with many other people. I grew up with a lot of Hispanic guys who didn't want to be associated with Hispanics and would talk down upon people from their own culture. I don't think that's really healthy. I think it is healthy to critique your own people, your own culture. I think we can all find ways to try to better ourselves in what we're doing. But once you enter that zone into where you're actually trying to sabotage and destroy your own people, I think that's very sick. I think that's a mass pathology that's been developed in the West, and that's not healthy. That's not healthy for the future of our country or the future of our people.
I'd be remiss not to ask you this. You mentioned growing up with a lot of Latinos, Latinas. There are Latinas here tonight. We heard from one. There are black people out here, men and women. Do you think there's a place for people of all races within the Patriot Movement?
Well, this isn't an alt-right movement. It's this is a populist movement, and obviously everyone's here. I'm here to support their ability to speak and support Trump or support whatever policies they think are good for America. I like the fact that they want to put America first. I think that's a healthy, natural instinct to want to put your country first. And so, yeah, I think there's a little bit of room for them in the populist movement here.
You like that video? Head to stopantifa.com, support our journalism, and sign our petition.